the next section is this bit. So we've got to cut it out of here, and then we can use that as a template for the other block, like I said. So I've just drawn it into here. So you can see it there. So this bit just here is about 1.5 inches, and this bit this side is about 2 inches. It's a bit bigger. And the bit at the bottom it's just over 2 inches I've got here. So you could do it 2 inches, you could do it 2.5. So that's just over 2 inches there. This side here, the top of it is 1.5. Over here I've got 1.5, and then it tapers in to nothing. So it goes around here and then starts coming up here into a little point. If I just draw that a little bit more, you can see it a bit better. So you can see that a bit better. So I'm just drawing that on there, and then I'm going to cut this bit out. I really love this shape. This could be something else, another hat, this little bit. Or you could save it, and it could always be your template for the future for other hats that you'll make like this. So I love this little shape, and it's coming right up to here. So here it's tapered in and right around to this point here. So let's cut that bit out. I'm just going to start on my point end. Before we stop, I've just had another idea. Look. Isn't this fab? If you had this going, so you could have this coming up, and then you could have 2 sections here. So you'd have to wire all of that, and then sort of edge it all and everything. But then you could bring that out. Oh my God, I think this is going to be part of a new collection. This up, and then you're getting this shape here. Isn't that fab? Oh, we can go exciting. This is what I love about hat making. You'll come up with your idea, you might have drawn it, you start making it, and you end up with something completely different. So you're just going with the flow, or you think, oh, that's a good idea for the future, and just change it up. So you don't always have to stick to exactly what you were doing or what you were drawing. But for this class, obviously I'm going to carry on to exactly the same, but that could be an idea for the future. So that bit there, which is a lovely shape, just on its own. Now we need to just quickly look at the hat and see if there's anything we need to chop off. So this bottom bit here, I've got a little bit, square here. I need to trim this slightly. So this bit at the top here, I think it sort of goes up and a little bit too high. So I need to shave a little bit of this off just to make sure it's really smooth. So it's just looking at it again and seeing where you need to trim. I don't want it to be all the same width all the way along. I want it to taper into being thinner. So you see where it's too samey and what you need to cut off. Okay, and then the bottom. That looks fine to me. So what we're going to do now is take off any of these extra gluey bits, and then you want to wire this one, and then with this one we're going to block the extra piece on a crown block. So get a crown block ready, and your colours ready, because you might want to change the colours up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have a latticed one on there, so you need latticed cinnamon and you need plain cinnamon. So it's going to be 2 layers of normal cinnamon, 1 layer of latticed on top. So you could have your lattice sprayed gold, which I'm going to do, purple, pink, green, whatever you fancy, and whatever colour you want to be in this space. So we're not going to keep this as the exact same because it's going to be a bit boring. You want to change up the colour, and your colour of lattice needs to be different to what this is as well to make that stand out. You know, you could have it the same, but I would say make it different. To tone it down a bit, last time I made this pink still, and then I put a purple lattice on top, so it just changed it up a bit. But this hat that we've got here, you know, I've got the sort of more turquoise inside and then gold on top, and then more of a fuchsia pink edging on it. So you just change it up and work out what colour you want. Do a little bit of sketching, drawing, and then see what looks best. Right, so I've got my iron and my dry cloth this time, so this is dry. Let's try a little bit on the edge, and then just get the iron and go over that. And then it'll stick to it a bit. Make sure your cloth isn't going to leave all of this fluff all over it. Lift that up, and it takes, the cloth takes it with it. So it takes a few goes. Sort of melts it, and then it starts coming away on the cloth. So it takes a few goes, but over time it'll start coming away and coming off on the cloth. But a quick way of doing it is hairspray. So we can just gently put it on a little bit and then see, and you'll see it start to disintegrate. The glue just disappears. I don't want to use too much and gas the place out, so I just do it a little bit at a time. You can see there, it starts to disappear. You want to break down all of the glue too much on the block, so you just really want to do it lightly and quickly wherever the big stains are. I wouldn't absolutely coat it and do it for too long, because it will break down all of the glue that's in it. So there we go, we can start to see it's just coming away. Making me cough. Do this in a ventilated area. At least I've got the door open. It's an interesting shape as well, isn't it? I just love circles and swirls. I think it's very architectural, but it's very natural as well, nature. So a lot of architectural buildings and designs come from nature. So you can see how this works. Some big crazy hat. Okay, so that's good. Nothing on that side. Now we're going to block the section that goes inside, so this bit that we've cut out. You'll notice I've got a crown block here, so this is what I use because I want a bit of the domed section. If I used a block like a brim block that was anything bigger, then I probably wouldn't get such a tight little curve. It would be, you know, too big, and I might get a little bit, but I prefer to use something a bit smaller and a bit tighter. So depending on what you've got in the house, you might use a bowl just to sort of maneuver it a little bit. You might have a big block that's got a real curve on it that you could use, but I think it's just, if you've got one of these, great, because this is easier. Covered it in plastic, so it's just a normal crown block, and we have to just think about where I'm going to put this, because here this will give a smaller, tighter curve, because I'm going to block all of this and then cut it out. So we're not actually manoeuvring this. This is just going to be our sort of sample shape. So that goes on there. That's going to be quite tight. If I do that there, then I'm getting a longer curve. So this whole bit here will be curved more. This, it will be a little more rounded, slightly tighter. So we have to think about what we want. Also where it's going to sit. I want the bias to be either here or the bias to be here, because if the bias is here, then it will sit in the hat. So if this is my bit and this is here, then I've got the bias here. So if this is on my head here, it means the bias will be about here. So if I put, so I can follow this one because that's where the bias is here, so I can put that on. Now, if that is quite curved like that, will that fit in there? It's going to be better if it's a little bit more elongated, and it will just fit in a bit easier. So I'm going to do it on here, so we get a bit of a curve, and then those bits will be flat. So my curve is going to be this bit here. But anyway, we can just block all of this and then decide exactly where we want to cut it later. So you can just think about it, and then I'm going to end up blocking most of it. So I think it's going to be here. And I've got some of the front. So let's just see what we've got. We've got lattice, to which I said, and I've sprayed this gold. So I've only sprayed this side, I haven't sprayed this side. I just want one piece of lattice, and I'm going to put that on top of two other layers of Cinnamate. I've chosen the purple because the purple I've got in the pink. I've got fuchsia pink, then I've got purple, then I've got more of an aqua colour. So this I've chosen because then this is going to show up on this hat, which is really pink. You're then going to have this sort of goldy purple in the middle. And as gold is really in this summer, I thought, well, I'll add a bit of gold because I do like a bit of gold. So I'm just going to make sure I've got enough. So this is going to cover this section here and a lot of the front. Now, if you do the whole thing, you can then decide later on, but actually I can't because of the amount I've got. I'm going to have to make a decision right now what I want. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to either use the side or the corner, so any of this area here. So I'm going to need to block all of this down as if I was blocking a crown block, but I'm only doing it on the side. I'm not doing it on this side over here. I'm just doing it on this side here. Now that's going to fit in quite nicely. It doesn't really matter what side of the head you're doing it on, because I'm just going to get a curve in that and then I'm going to slot it back in. All I want is just this dome effect. So let's get that on. So I've got my wet cloth, I've got my iron ready, I've got my pins ready. Most of you will know how to do this, but if you don't, you've never seen it before, you can just sort of watch the next bit of steaming. I've also got my elastic bands ready in here, so we're good to go. I'm doing this in a tight space again because of lockdown. I managed to get into the shop last week, didn't I? But I don't know if I'm going to better go up there too much. I only can go up there when I really, really need to. But hopefully soon we will be all back to normal. Weddings are going to happen. Ascot might be happening. I think it is, but with limited people. So exciting. Right, so I'm going to go over all of this. I've dampened the cloth, wrung it out so it's not dripping everywhere, as you know. Just use the iron. Create that steam. comes out. Oh. Just so I can stretch it. Pull either side there, put them in on the sides. And to let you know as well, this lattice top bit, because I sprayed it, the glue is not going to come out as normal. So this one is not going to sit very well on here. It's not going to stick. So I'm going to put extra stiffener on this afterwards to make sure it all sticks together. Just moved it a little bit because it was slightly too far down. I wanted it a little bit over. Now, if say you're doing a crazy hat and you're having like a big ovally curved piece to go on that piece instead of my little piece, then you could do that on a big brim if you have one. Right, so I've just blocked this section here, this side, this side, this side. Haven't worried about this side because I'm only using this area here. I'm now going to leave that to dry and put some stiffener on it. So if you're doing this, and do the same, leave it to dry and put some stiffener on. If you're using the PVA based, white, white stiffener, then you can put that on straight away and then leave it. But if you're using the real clear, old-fashioned, smelly stiffener, leave that to dry really, really well before you attach that on, put that on, paint it on. All right, I'll see you in a minute.